Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Christian Capitalist Podcast. I'm Rich Sanders, your host. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're delighted to be at the ReConnect studio in Mesa, Arizona, and here with Jerame Mudick, the owner of the studio and our guest today. As you know, the Christian Capitalist is all about hard work and generous giving to the poor and needy in the name of Jesus. And when we work, we glorify God. If you like what you hear today, or you're enjoying listening or watching this episode on the various channels, please like, tag, or share. We love it when people spread the word of the Christian Capitalist movement. But without any further ado, good morning, or good afternoon, Jerame.
Good afternoon.
We're in Jerame's studio. We decided this would be a great place to record and have a chance to chat today about this terrific location you have. How are you doing today?
Doing great. I'm excited to be here and talk about all the things we're going to dive into.
Indeed. And I have to tell y'all, it is cool and kind of darker in here. There's a sign over on the wall that says breathe. But what we're looking at, what's lighting us up today, is a beautiful March, Arizona afternoon where it's about 101 degrees.
Beautifully cool.
Exactly. So it's nice to be in here and be beautifully cool. Well, Jerry, so let's start with the basics. Tell us a little bit about this space that we're in right now. We have folks all over the nation who are watching this who may not be able to come here anytime soon. So tell us what we're looking at.
So this is the Breathwork studio.
Okay.
And so next door is the full wellness side. All right. So this studio right here is where we guide everyone through breathwork, but it's more of a journey in through your inner worlds and how to safely navigate through them.
Okay.
Yeah. So breathing techniques, but also teaching people how to breathe. Right. So versus me just saying, hey, this is what you're going to do. It's more like bring about awareness into the body, how to find the breath, how to feel the breath, how to expand it, create it from your diaphragm to your heart to your head. And then we actually go into the full blown exercises that would be considered breath work.
That's awesome. So breath work, you and I have talked about it now a couple of times by text and in person today. I'm looking over here at a sign that has breath work as all one word. For those who haven't had a chance to encounter this, what is breath work? What does that mean?
Simple breakdown. It's conscious breathing to shift your state. So think of whatever mental state you're in, where you're currently feeling. So think about emotions, and they can all process by 90 seconds as long as we allow them to fully process, like sit in it all the way through. Our breath is the thing that allows us to connect to that. So think about if you're feeling anxious, right? It's actually through your breathing. It doesn't matter what medications you do, what exercises you do. Anxiety is going to be calmed and healed and processed mainly through your breathing.
That's really interesting, Jerame. Why? So help us understand a little bit about the biology behind that. What exactly connects your mental state of mind to your lungs?
CO2 is the big driver. So CO2 is the thing it's overlooked a lot, but it's the catalyst that helps deliver more oxygen, right?
Okay.
So think about it. The worse tolerance you have to CO2 and the fewer amount of CO2 being produced within your body, then the more anxious you're going to be, the more in fight or flight you are. I'll give you an example. When people breathe like that, they're breathing too much per minute typically, but also like the exhale is really shallow. So think longer the exhale, greater the CO2 will start to rise, and all these things start to happen internally in the body that are actually getting it into the parasympathetic nervous system.
And that's a good thing.
That's a good thing. That's where we want to be. That's where our body's more calm, and we can be, like let's say you just got out of a massage. That's typically going to be parasympathetic the whole time. So we want to be more in that state more often. And when we're not, we're going to be in the sympathetic, which is good. We need the sympathetic, right? It's where we're going into exercise and we're getting in the ice bath, which is next door. We're doing intentional breathing. Sometimes we get to the sympathetic because we're trying to forcefully get you into this state where you can be hyper focused and use it to your advantage. Most people are disconnected from their breath, which then that they go into the heightened state without realizing it. Stress goes out of control, inflammation goes higher, sickness is right around the corner.
Interesting. And so I guess as you're talking, I'm thinking about, kind of the extremes of emotion or mental state and breathing, right? You gasp in surprise when something happens, that may be shocking or alarming or something like that. But likewise, when you're relieved, you breathe a sigh of relief.
Every time.
Those are kind of cliches, but now I kind of get a little sense of how that makes sense. So when you have when you have a program focused on breath work, what does that work look like? I mean, because one of the themes of our movement is work. What is the work that goes into breathing? It's something everybody does every day, their entire lives.
Yep. I actually really like this question because a lot of folks will say, why on earth would I pay to come and do breath work and breathing?
Are you going to offer a blinking class next?
Exactly. We're going to keep a blinking class flowing all week long. And the thing is because most of us, and I mean most, are not taught how to breathe.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been a personal trainer for 17 years. Most people don't even know how to walk properly. They don't even allow their biomechanics to rotate for fluidity in their movement. So we have more rigidity within our body, which allows for our tissue to be more dehydrated, which creates more issues along the line on your biomechanics, and you can't even jump, run, throw, do these basic movements anymore. But if you're taught how to do them, if you're taught how to run, your body almost floats when you run. So breathing is no different. It's something that's massively overlooked, but especially here in America, it's not something that has been taught. It's been something that's been pulled away from, where whatever, breathing just is what it is. But it truly is the connector and regulator for all of your emotions, and to actually be in the presence and seek his presence.
Wow. I love that. Right.
As far as the work part, right?
Yeah.
The reason it takes work to do this is because to consciously do something means you have full-blown intention. It's not unconsciously being performed. That's where, again, the disconnection is more like, oh, well, I'm breathing fine. And I can look at someone and say, no, you're not. You're actually in a heightened state. You don't even realize it. It takes work to bring about the awareness to make the adjustments.
Yeah. Interesting. So it's not only a kind of an education of what is going on, but the work to get into it. And I'm sure we'll talk about that in a minute when we go kind of around the studio.
Yeah.
What got you into breath work from personal training?
Well, personal training, for me, it was, at the time, it was my purpose, right? I got into lifting weights. I was a really skinny kid my whole life. I got bullied every year of my life. And so I figured, hey, I want to become the superhero guy so I can stop bullying. And I did become that. And it
complete with Superman cup.
Yeah,
I love
also
that.
my Superman cup, yes. And so I went down the line of, hey, I want to teach other people how to do this, and as I got deeper into it and I started to learn more about biomechanics and how to help people at the root of their issues, I realized that a lot of this stuff had to deal with emotion. And so for me, I'm thinking, wow, I'm actually really dysregulated, even though I considered myself a great personal trainer. It's like I was also very dysregulated, and I didn't realize it because my breathing was so poor. So the way I found breath work was I started to sit with myself.
Okay.
Sit with myself and analyze why I do the things that I do. And when I did that, I discovered, so I had a lot of trauma as a child. There was some bad abuse that happened, and my breath was taken from me quite a bit. And I didn't realize this until I was late in my 20s, and I sat trying to meditate, didn't know how it worked, didn't know what I was doing. All I knew was prayer. And sometimes even going into prayer can be difficult because you're being pulled into the supernatural. And sometimes your brain is trying to stay right here in the natural. And you're thinking, there's a disconnect, right? So I discovered breathing exercises, and it was like, okay, I'm going to give this a shot. And I discovered this whole thing of breathing into every chamber of the body, and all this stuff started to unfold. And I felt this like explosion of confetti inside of my mind, where it literally felt like confetti just went off.
Wow.
And I took my first full breath in my belly since I was a child. And I just weeped this is outside of my backyard. And I just weeped. And I was like, oh my goodness, my breath was trapped in my trauma for all these years.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how I discovered breath work, and how I knew in that moment, I was like, I have to give this gift to other people.
Literally a breakthrough.
Yes. Yep.
Isn't that something? All right. Now, you just made this motion like this. My friend Lauren Awashko, who I mentioned to you earlier, was a guest on our podcast, episode 54, was talking about breathing. And just last week, when she and I were visiting, she made this motion about
there
breathing.
You go.
For the uninitiated, what's going on? What is that? What are the chambers of the body, and how does this motion reflect that?
So I will point this out right off the bat. If you can't,
if you say, listen, I'll tell you more, but you got to sign up for my class. I totally get it.
Come on down. We're getting in class first.
Exactly.
So if you struggle to breathe in through your diaphragm, it's totally normal, right? This is, it takes work, right? Like that truly is, it's an area that holds a majority of our emotions, but also with our fascia. It's the majority of our myofascial meridian lines, which is typically where the majority of the brain connection to the body so it knows where it's at in space. So over 80% of our proprioceptors are through our fascia, and a lot of that is right here. So there's a big emotional bundle that is held in the gut.
You feel it in your gut. That's the reason that's a cliche too, right?
100% accurate too.
Okay.
And so with that, a lot of folks are disconnected from that tissue because of the emotional dysregulation. So they found a way to numb themselves and disconnect from an emotion, so they struggle to breathe through this space, so they tend to breathe up here. Does that mean that it's really bad for them? Well, it depends. They could be getting sufficient oxygen, and if they are, and they're having good levels of CO2, then it doesn't mean that it's bad, but it does tell you that there's some emotions that probably need to be processed, right? So this motion of like learning to breathe all the way up, it's because your breath is like, I can teach you how to do like a 30-second inhale and a 30-second exhale where it's 1 breath per minute, but it has to start from down there.
Interesting.
And you can take it all up through every chamber.
I used to sing in the high school chorus, and they would always talk about breathe from your diaphragm.
Yeah.
Is that the basic concept?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when the diaphragm and you breathe through that, I mean, it's going to drop down. You're going to have more room to expand your lungs. So the more room you have there, the greater and fuller the breath will be, which means the greater the output for your exhale.
And when we talk about, when you talk about breath work, I always think of work as effort.
Yes.
That results in a specific outcome that you're seeking, right? I'm just finishing this week my second book, which is called Tools of the Bible.
Wow. Okay.
And it's awesome. It's all about the various tools that people used in the Bible. Everything from hammer to saw to plow to axe, right?
Nice.
But when you're working with an axe and your goal is to chop down the tree, it's pretty clear what you're trying to accomplish.
Right.
What are you trying to accomplish here? I mean, do people come to you and say, man, listen, I haven't had any breakthrough emotionally speaking, but I know how to breathe for 30 seconds in and 30 seconds out. Tell us about kind of what the goal is.
Yeah. Man, I would say this is what I tell everyone when it comes to breath work. Bring your intention without expectation. Because a large part of breath work and its ability to have an impact on you is your willingness to surrender. And I think that goes a lot with faith as well, as we could say. God works with the willing, right? Which means that we must surrender ourselves to him fully.
Yeah.
And when that happens, he can work through us. And breath work, man, it's like a perfect simulation for that, because if you stare at the paint drying on the wall and you're trying to control the breath where you're literally controlling everything about it, nothing will happen. But if you close your eyes and you go internally, trying to bring about this awareness in yourself and just feel the breath and let it take you where you need to go, that is when some powerful things can happen. We've had a lot of folks with PTSD. We're talking police officers, firefighters, paramedics, military that have all come in here that have had, we're talking over 15 years of trauma that therapists couldn't fix, and they healed it themselves in 45 minutes.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it's all because of how the room is facilitated, the container that's held where they feel safe to actually finally process whatever the heck is going on in there.
Yeah.
But the whole idea here is that you have to surrender control, because once you finally let go of control, your body will feel like it comes to life again. All the vibrations, everything will come through, and everyone describes it differently, right? So this is where if someone comes in and says, hey, I've been to 4 classes and nothing has happened, then what we do is we talk about there's a moment where you have an opportunity and they say, no, I'm good. And this is where I bring in faith for this, because I think it's so good where you go, you know what, God, you've helped me over here, but I'm going to take care of this, man. I'm good. You know? Right. And then how does that end up? Probably not as good.
never works out well.
Never works out, right? And that tends to be a lot of things that happen here. And so it's this whole thing of us getting in our own way. Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, most of the, I'm going to get a little philosophical.
Okay.
But it feels like most of the troubles that humanity has had over the last 3, 4, 5,000 years are self-inflicted.
Yeah.
You know, we all have trouble getting out of our own way. It's like a human condition.
Yes.
And taking that walk in faith and giving it up to God is probably the most difficult thing to do, because we find that we want to control, and we want to, I mean, we just had the story of Adam and Eve in church a couple of weeks ago. You know, it's not so much that they were afraid of God and what might happen if they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It was they wanted the knowledge of good and evil, and weren't ready to surrender it all to God and keep it that way.
Yeah,
that temptation is very strong.
Yes. Yeah.
So what does it look like? I love these breakthrough stories.
Thank you.
What does it look like to have breath work and prayer together? Because I can't help but think, as you know, we're this episode will be in the 5th week of Lent.
Okay.
We're coming up on Easter. One of probably the most important, arguably most famous scenes of prayer in the entire Bible is about to come up when Jesus is praying in the Garden of Gethsemane.
Yes.
I have a feeling there was some very measured breathing going on there.
I can imagine.
As Jesus is, crying tears of blood, that surrendering it up to God is, the model that he sets for us. But what's that look like on a regular basis? How do folks come here and kind of work prayer into their breath work?
Well, I think it just depends on the person, right? Everyone has a different journey, and not everyone is connected to God, and people are still searching and seeking, and they're not sure where they're at. But I think everyone is kind of looking for the same thing, right? And that's typically his presence, and so they can feel whole. Yeah. And here, I think you'll really like this too, especially coming up for Resurrection Sunday. My breathwork that I designed is called Resurrect Breathwork.
Okay. So
it works,
you got it.
It works out great. It's cool, man, because I was struggling to think of a name for it a couple of years ago. And I played some worship music and I prayed. I didn't even finish my prayer and it came through, Resurrect Breathwork. I was like, that's it. And I looked it up and it didn't exist yet. And I said, this is it.
Sweet.
This is the one. And it's because it truly brings people back to life. People will come up in here feeling extremely depressed and they feel the Holy Spirit and here they are. And now they're expressing things that man, I don't know how that happened in an hour. What the heck is going on here?
Yeah.
And I go, well, cool? Yeah, it's your journey. So that's where prayer for some people can look different in here because it's not going to be the traditional form, right? But like I mentioned,
right. So you're not guiding prayer
yet.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, fair enough. I don't want to steal your thunder because that was great when we were talking just a minute ago. By the way, y'all, I'm channeling my inner St. Francis right now. There is a large bird called a grackle. At least that's what they call them in Texas. They're about that long and have this beautiful black but iridescent coat and make this terrific noise. And a grackle is landed about 10 feet away from where we're standing on the other side of this glass door. So inner St. Francis would say, welcome, Brother Grackle.
And he's not leaving. He's
not leaving. He's
been quacking this whole time. Oh, now we take notice. He's going to walk away. Yeah,
he heard us. So what, and speaking of things outside the door, my son, Will, who's here for spring training in Arizona, in Mesa with the Cubs, is the one that introduced me to Jerame and does cold water therapy and red light therapy. We'll get to that in just a second. Will's now parading around the parking lot in his underwear, soaking wet. You see all kinds of stuff here.
Swimsuit, man. Swimsuit.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. See all kinds of stuff here in Mesa.
It'll be very interesting here.
It's great. All right. So where were we? We're talking Brother Grackle.
Prayer and breathwork.
Prayer and breathwork. Oh, yeah. So going back to how you describe Resurrect. When people come in here, we talked about this earlier. They're not coming to a Christian breathwork center. They're not.
That's correct.
Frankly, there's no indication here of any religion whatsoever.
Yep.
And it sounds like early on that meant a lot of people who don't believe in anything were here. Is that right?
That's correct.
What was that like, having a customer base that you kind of acknowledged was far apart from the Lord?
It was amazing. It was because I would pray continuously that God would send the people that needed to come here. And that they needed it, and they needed his presence and his love and his grace. And man, we got a lot of people, that would come in here. A lot of people who were suicidal all the way down to 9 years old, all the way up to 85-year-old Alzheimer's, stage 4 cancer, the last few months of life. I mean, literally you name it, and they've been pulled here. We're talking folks where they go, man, I've lived here for the last 15 years. I've never even noticed this building until this weekend. And I'm like, what are the odds, right? That was the moment where God pulled them in, and now they're having a transformative experience. And they're like, what is happening here? I'm just experiencing so much. And for us, especially me being the business owner, I don't want my staff to have to press people on that, but it's more like Jesus calls us to be childlike, right? And that's a state of curiosity, because kids are curious about everything. So the more we can get people out of victimization mindset into curiosity, then we have a better chance of them finding and discovering God. And then we can hopefully get them to read the word.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I love that, because part of the notion of surrendering, like you talked about earlier, giving it up to God, as people like to say, is recognizing we don't have all the answers.
Right.
And that sense of curiosity comes with, all right, I don't know everything.
Yeah.
Maybe over here I can find an answer. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So we have folks from all different kinds of walks of life, ages, industries, who are small business owners who listen to this podcast. How do you, as a small business owner, create that environment where people can connect to the Holy Spirit and resurrect themselves? Because that is, it seems like not overt, but very intentional.
It is. Everything in here is intentional. And I'll just kind of give a brief breakdown.
Please.
So maybe this will help other businesses as well. I think a big factor is the environment itself. So both of these sides, this one doesn't have as much, but over there it's covered in plants everywhere. How many stories in the Bible people go out into nature to hear God?
Well, we were just talking about the Garden of Gethsemane.
There you go. So nature, people don't go there enough. And we know every time that you do, it calms your nervous system. So I think the calm in your nervous system allows for you, hopefully, to hear God in some form, right? Or to take notice of the miracles that are right in front of you. And so the environment itself is going to impact people where they walk through the door and they go, just like you would if you walked out into nature. So plants, live, real plants is a huge one. I've had so many people come in here where they realized, oh my gosh, my home only has like one little small plant. So hundreds of members have literally just decked their house out with plants now because they feel the impact, right? So that was number one. Number two are the values of the company. The values are what dictate the behaviors of every person who works there, right? Because then if they don't align with those values, they won't be able to work here. And those values are very much based off of faith, service, growth, humility, compassion, community, right? These things where we're trying to get people to you find purpose in service, just like with the word, like we are supposed and called to be able to preach the word, right? Like you should know the gospel if you're a follower and feel confident and speak with conviction as you relay the message. But here, I teach my staff to uphold that same type of authority to where they are confident in the words that they speak and grounded in the space that they hold. And that right there allows everyone to come in here and feel safe enough to open up. And it is that safety, that container itself, that shifts the entire environment to where now it feels like there's no judgment here except that one. Right? Because we end up judging ourselves so hard on every little thing and we tie our own tongue and truth never comes out and now we have a hardened heart.
Amen.
You know?
Yeah. And so I gotta tell you, two of the core concepts of the Christian capitalist movement you just hit upon. The first is servant leadership, right? Where you as a leader are teaching others through your service to them, and then they are serving your customers. I love that. The other, which is also one that folks who serve in the military learn day one, and that is lead by example. So I just love that. But now, having said that, how often, how big is your staff, and how often do you go through these kind of discussions where you reinforce these things for the folks that work for you?
Well, there's 8 of us now. And more to come because I have my second location in Scottsdale, so we need to build out that team a little further.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank
you.
How
old? We're in Mesa. How old is the Mesa location?
2020. So we're coming up to 6 years.
Wow.
Basically, it was like the end of 2020.
This place looks great for being 6 years old. I thought you were going to say we opened it last fall. I mean,
well, so this actually I expanded into this side just 2 years ago.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So we were doing all the breathwork stuff on the ground over there. We'd run around wiping the floor, wipe the water up, move the chairs. It was pretty wild. Yeah.
So you got the Scottsdale location open now. You mentioned that there are folks in Mesa who've been driving by for years and didn't know y'all were here. How do you advertise?
Social media is the main push. Social media, we actually just started introducing ads 2 months ago. But social media has been the big driver for that. But once we got the word out, right? So when I first started this, it was during the COVID times. Everyone was scared. Masks were wearing everywhere and couldn't have more than 10 people in a space. And I got on social media and I just talked to the people. And it was one of those build it and they will come kind of moments. And it worked. It got people in the door who were very fearful. And then, man, they'd be in the middle of their session, just rip their mask off and throw it away and be
Isn't that cool?
It was amazing.
But Jerame, man, I got to tell you, doing breath work in a group with masks on sounds horrible.
Yeah, it would be terrible.
Can you do breath work when you have a mask on?
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. It's
good way to pass out, probably. I think you could probably have more detriment versus progression.
Right. So you're using social media, and what made you? I mean, for those who are not familiar, Phoenix has a big metro area. Scottsdale is 30 minutes away from Mesa, give or take. So what compelled you to open up a second location? That's very exciting.
Well, I'll give you a brief rundown first, and you'll love this. We don't have to tell the whole story, but
there was this burning bush in Scottsdale. And
basically, that's what happened. So when it came to this location, and even opening this, God gave me a vision. He gave me the vision 5 days before the lockdowns happened. And in that vision, I saw this building that was actually very much like the one that's next door. And in the vision, I saw everything that was going on, ice basis and that kind of thing. And I even had ReConnect Mind Body on my shirt. Like literally the name was in the vision. And as the vision closed out, the words that were said were the people will need healing. Next morning I wake up. I wrote all that down, by the way, and I'm kind of freaking out. Yeah. Next morning I'm training one of my clients at 6 a.m. and she's in the middle of doing an exercise and she stops and goes, Jerame, I got to tell you something. And I was like, what is it? She goes, you need to open a healing center. And I was like, Angie, why would you say that? She's like, I don't know. I just woke up this morning like I had to tell you. And I'm like, I just had a vision. I told her the whole thing. We got goosebumps. Anyways, immediately it's like, let's put this into action. That Friday or whatever, I think it was Friday, state of emergency, everything gets shut down. And it was like, interesting timing.
Yeah.
So contacted a broker, did the whole thing. And so that was the first push from Mesa. And then when it came to Scottsdale, I was actually looking in Queen Creek and I tried 3 different times to go there and look at buildings and do this stuff. And everything just was it didn't make sense. It didn't feel right. Nothing felt good. And then one day, about 1.5 years ago, my buddy came here and we're shooting some videos and he goes, hey man, I got to tell you, I feel like God's giving me this push that you need to open in Scottsdale. And I was like, I didn't really want to go to Scottsdale. I was like, why would you say that? You know, he's like, I feel like that's where you're supposed to be, man. Like it feels really strong in me. Like I need to tell you that. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I got a buddy. Let's go look at some spots. Anyways, he ends up finding a spot. So I said, I want a spot that's roughly around 2,600 to 3,000 square feet. And I want a private patio and it has to be within this price range. Well, right next to Impact Church in Scottsdale, there happens to be a building that is the exact measurements and the exact price range of the private patio.
Wow.
With the same type of windows this one has and everything. And I said, okay. Okay. Well, I can't say no because it doesn't line up that perfect at all. And the company was a restaurant that was in there just left 3 months prior. So cool? It's like, that's why I'm in Scottsdale.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right. So you have probably already put this together, but did you say the name of the woman who gave you this message was Angie?
Yes.
So the Greek word for messenger is angelos.
Oh,
which is interesting. Where we get the English word angel.
Wow.
So she brought you a message from God.
Wow.
And the next time you see her, feel free to say, you're an angel. You brought me a message from God.
That's amazing.
Isn't that cool?
I've never heard that before. That is very cool. So it just adds even more significance to the story.
Exactly. Well, and you just mentioned it offhand. I'm like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Angie. All right.
Yeah.
So it must be Angela.
Yeah.
All right. And so tell me the name of your broker or your friend that wanted you to go look at property in Scottsdale was
Brad.
Okay.
It was Brad.
Not Michael Raphael or...
No, just Brad. Yeah. It's a good old buddy, Brad.
That's awesome. Well, great.
Yeah.
And so how are you as a small business owner, how are you now adapting to having 2 locations?
It's very challenging.
I was going to say, is it economies of scale yet, or is it more just 2x everything? Or 3x everything?
I mean, we'll put it like this. As soon as I opened second location, all of the systems that were built here were put to test. And this location has been still doing great. But starting in we'll put it like this, Scottsdale and Mesa are like 2 different worlds. Like it really feels like they're 2 different worlds.
Wow.
And the brand itself of ReConnect, we've actually had a lot of people travel across the country from other states, like you name it, and they've traveled here just to experience ReConnect, which is so cool to me. Like I think that's
what a compliment.
Yes, just amazing. So I just kind of assumed hey, going to the second location, it'll probably flourish the same way. But going to Scottsdale, I mean, we are literally in the heart of every other wellness company out there, and every single company is within 12 minutes of us. So it's kind of like in the lion's den, we're right in there. And the thing is, though, there's hundreds of thousands of people out there, and I do believe God's going to send the right people that need to be a part of the ReConnect community.
Right on.
So.
Well, and especially it sounds like the new location is next to a church. That's definitely going to help, I would think.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. That's the hope.
Have, speaking of which, we were talking about prayer and how individual it can be when you're doing breath work. Is there such a thing as breathwork Bible study or something like that?
Well, so that's what I'm going to introduce. That's what I'm going to introduce.
In the podcast business, that's called a segue.
We're going to jump on into the future endeavor here. Yes. So I am bringing a class that is called Breathwork and the Word. And the significance of this is because breathwork has been more on the eastern side of the world, and it has created a massive separator between people, religion, and certain beliefs and these things of this practice itself has brought in people to God because it gets them out of their way. And I do believe my company motto is "You are the cause, you are the cure." That to me is the breakdown of giving up your life so you can follow Christ. You can't pick up your cross if you do not take responsibility. And so for me, I was the reason for all my anxiety because I held on to it. I identified with it. Like I let the spirit of fear rule my life for so long until I recognized what was happening. And it was actually through breathing and ice baths. Like that was the stuff that said, like, I'm the reason. I need to give this up. Like I need to let go of this identity and find my identity in Christ and see what happens. And man, everything changed. And so I look at it like, when you mention breathwork, everyone immediately assumes it's a specific religious belief that has nothing to do with just being a human and trying to get better, right?
Or it's, exactly. Or it is maybe a faith system from another culture or another nation, maybe another language, whether it's Eastern, Middle Eastern, Indian, whatever. But I agree. Most of the time when people tell me, okay, I'm doing this breathwork thing or that, and then they start using, terms that I've never heard of before, it's easy to say, well, that's not Christian.
Yes.
But it sounds like this is very much. What, along that line, what about those other religions helps you kind of form how you want to start breathwork in the Word? In other words, are there other cultures, other religions where breathing is a part of their worship service or breathing is a part of the way that they pray? Do you know if that's kind of thing?
To be honest, I'm not sure and I'm not certain of that. I do know that the majority of breathwork practices were taken from cultures that were more Eastern. And a lot of times they were designed for things like go into the hut and do this breathing exercise to remove the sickness from your body. Right? That's how a lot of things were. They're sitting around the fire. This is the breathing exercise we do. We're sitting on the frozen mountain. This is the breathing exercise we do through meditation to generate heat and to cleanse our body.
It's so funny you say that because even as we've been talking the last couple of minutes, I keep thinking of like Buddhist monks, or Tibetan monks. And I think one of the reasons that's the case is even the layout here is very much grounded, literally, right? And when you sit on the floor and you are, kind of getting centered, the breathing comes. I guess if you're here to do breath work,
that's correct.
Is that right?
Yeah, and I love that you're bringing this up because I think there's this big separator that I want to help provide. I guess a connector to, right? That it's all about intention. I think it really is. When it comes to breath work, who's guiding it and what are the intentions? Because you can go to, we'll just say it, like a festival, and this person could be into this belief system, and the way they teach is from that belief system, right? And it could be, whether it's like Hindu, or it could be Satanism, it could be Buddhist, it could be whatever, right? And you have to know that whatever that person's beliefs are, the way they speak is probably going to come from that, right? So that's where you have to realize, like, what are you stepping into? And this is why I want to bring breathwork in the Word, because I want people to be, for one, I will be going straight from Scripture as I guide the breathwork class, which I tend to teach all my classes anyways with, it's all very, it can be very intense, right? But we always seal everyone up with light, and I give a little sermon at the end of every single class, no matter what.
Wow. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
so this one with breathwork in the Word, it's more like a sermon all the way through the class. That way I just love driving people in this way of, one of my things is galvanizing. I like to rally people together. I like to get them fired up. And I think that's why I was good at personal training. Because I can just, let's go, and I get so fired up about the Word sometimes. And I just want people to feel that in their spirit and just be awakened within that, because we need more of that. And so now with going into this, I think it's going to be like a clear line of, hey, the intentions behind this class, and it can be more driven towards God. And Christ, Jesus can be the centerfold of all this. It doesn't have to be this Buddhist practice over here, right? It literally can be whatever. It's the same thing with any form of exercise. People could say, well, that was designed over here. So if you do it over here, then you're just copying that. It's like, well, no, we all learn from each other, right? Because I'll tell you what I've learned from some people who are on the Buddhist side of things is incredible. Like I can sit on the snow barefoot and stand there, sit with my butt, whatever you want, for 30 minutes and melt all the ice around me.
Whoa.
So you think that's a bad thing? No, that's a great thing. I can learn to tap into my autonomic nervous system and I can cleanse my body of any kind of disease just by meditating on it. Yes, prayer goes a long way, but I do believe God's like, you got to do the work too, man.
Yeah,
you got to brush your own hair, buddy. You know, you can't just eat Twinkies all day and then do nothing, no form of exercise, and then think that you're going to be healthy. I can't do that for you. You got to get yourself healthy, right?
Right.
So that's where like learning some of these practices that I'm trying to bring here is that it can be really powerful and healing for your nervous system, your awareness, your ability to be able to move forward in life that is going to be more covered in light versus dark.
You know, you raise a great point because getting back to one of the very first comments you made about breath work and controlling your emotions and anxiety. Mm-hmm. So when how are breath work and meditation related? Is one part of the other? Do you do your breath work while you're meditating or vice versa? How's that work?
Yep, two different things. So we'll say meditation, the primary goal is to get you into a higher or deeper wavelength in the brain. So think of like you want to get to the alpha wavelengths, which is going to be more of a state of creativity, and then into theta, which is like the ultimate one. Gamma, we don't quite understand fully yet, but either way, you want to get to like the alpha theta range. That is where you go into full creativity. So I think it was Albert Einstein would sit in a rocking chair with a rock in his hand, and he would go all the way to he almost fell asleep, because once the rock fell to the ground, he knew that he fell asleep. He'd wake up, pick it back up. He was trying to operate in that state of creativity. So creativity is found in the body, right? So then we go into more creativity in our body, we get out of our own way. We actually can be our more authentic self, and we're actually more open to things in life versus being so closed off. Yeah. So meditation is difficult for a lot of people because to get to that, it requires creativity, right? And a lot of folks struggle with creativity because, like, if you can just dance in your own house and be goofy, it will unlock creativity. If you want to sing and just blast music and do those things, if you want to draw and paint, all that stuff, it unlocks creativity. Dancing actually is number one. Scientifically proven, by the way.
No kidding. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing for
Great.
it. But in breathwork itself, breathwork is actually a fast way to get to that creative state. So you actually can activate into the alpha wavelengths within minutes versus meditation. An untrained mind could take them hours, days, weeks, months to even touch that first wavelength of going, whoa, it worked. Breathwork, man, we hijack it right away.
Interesting. So the breathwork helps enhance the meditation.
100%.
Gotcha. You know, it's interesting you talk about dancing being scientifically proven to get folks, you know, to this next level. And yet the studio here seems to be very focused on sitting still.
Yes. Well, different practice.
Fair enough.
But there's no dancing in here. Yeah, you just sit down, lie down, sit up. You do whatever you got to do.
But so before you walk us around the and you can do that literally because we can see the whole studio here on camera. But what is the connection between breathwork and sitting down and that as opposed to running around? Like I'm thinking of because you are former or maybe current physical trainer. That and what's the one where everybody works so hard and runs around like crazy with the
CrossFit?
kettlebells? Yeah. So thanks. So why not do breathwork while you're at CrossFit?
So breathwork think of the work portion is typically controlled hyperventilation, right? So you're literally hyperventilating on purpose. So think of it. I'll just give you an example. Like do that enough while standing up and you'll pass out.
Gotcha.
Do it sitting down or lying down.
Gotcha.
You won't pass out, right?
Okay. So we're staying in a hotel over by Wrigleyville West.
Okay.
And this morning, hotel gyms are notorious for being, under-equipped. In this case, broken equipment. The one piece of equipment I want to use is being used by a guy who is breathing that loudly.
Oh, really?
I immediately pronounced him annoying. Now I'm going to give him some grace.
Patience
just
or thin.
Right. He's just trying to do his breath work. Leave him alone, you know?
Yeah.
Do you know the kind of guy I'm talking about,
I know
right?
exactly
As a physical trainer, the kind of slamming the weights and you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, good. So here, the goal is controlled hyperventilation.
That's correct.
To get you to this next state.
Yep.
All right, one quick thing then before we go around the studio. I was in the Navy, and my dad was in the Air Force. Part of the way you learn to shoot in the military is controlling your breathing.
That's right.
And box breathing, you know, for lack of a better way of putting it. You know, breathe in for a minute, or 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, etc.
Yeah.
Is the nature of the breath work timed in any way?
Yes, very much so. And so think about breath work itself. There are so many different techniques. I teach 12.
Whoa.
And within those 12, they all have their own time constraints depending on what the breath is and what it's for. Right? So you're going to have certain breathing techniques to where the breath will be so shallow and quick that you will hold full of air at the end. And other ones where the breath is so deep and so long, you'll hold without air at the bottom. A lot of this comes down to learning how to help people regulate their nervous system, but also understanding the process of emotions through the breathing technique itself. So sometimes, like if you do something like too restricted of a time frame, the person and even yourself will be more focused on the time constraint and like getting the reps in versus the experience of it. So I'll give you a good example. Me and you were sitting here hanging out. If we were like, hey, we have 10 minutes to talk, we're going to be focused on, you got to wrap this up.
Right.
We got to wrap this up.
Right.
We're missing out on presence itself. Right?
Right.
So with breath work, I don't let anyone think about any of that stuff. It is literally a full journey, and I will watch the timer and I give them, let's say I'm having you do a specific breathing technique. It's going to go anywhere typically from 2 to 4 minutes for one round. And I just have that time of flow. We're playing powerful music that's moving. Think of like movie trailer, powerful music, you know? And moving people through that. And then once it's that time, I time it where it's like the inhale's coming right as the music is getting enhanced. Boom, switch the song on the exhale. Boom, new song. Those things, I gong right at the moment. Like it is a full theatrical performance. That way you feel like you're in a movie.
And not timed.
It's only I control the time. No one has to worry about anything.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because it's so ironic that our son Will introduced us because his entire workplace, the baseball field, is controlled by a clock. In the modern game, right? He's got a 20-second clock. If there's somebody on base, I would think it's even shorter. So having the ability to breathe, because by the way, the reason he introduced us is he thinks so much of your work, and the way that y'all have worked together. But that notion of putting the clock aside for the breath work, I think helps him ultimately when every pitch has a clock attached to it. 20 seconds to be able to, you think about that in any other business. You know, I'm a retired lawyer and now a pastor. What if it was, okay, you got to write this sentence in 20 seconds or less? That's hard. You know, to kind of get your frame of mind. Before I forget, I want to go around the studio, but we are next door to ReConnect, which Will is at now. How are the breathing and the other therapies or treatments that you're doing over there connected?
It's actually the foundation of everything. So getting into cold water without connecting to your breath is like asking to have a panic attack. So what we do is we get you deeply connected to your breath. I call it, it's like the wax on, wax off method, right? So in Karate Kid is teaching him to wash the car, inward, outward, but he's really teaching him how to block and defend punches, right?
So, I'm watching to make sure we're not messing with
I almost did. Sorry. I'll give the hands tight. And so what we do over here is my staff will walk you through specific motions with the breath, different types, but it all leads to the ultimate breath to be able to manage the stress response in the water. And the more that you connect to that breath and allow for your body to regulate all on its own, that is when the emotions can process. You know, we have literally had Navy SEALs next door in those ice baths bawl their eyes out because of that.
Whoa.
Yeah. We're talking some of the toughest men on the planet.
Well, and guys who
feel
have been
safe enough to do that.
Right on. And guys who have been through a lot of the training that I'm talking about where you do have controlled breathing to learn how to shoot and who have spent a lot of time underwater.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Very interesting.
Yep. And so a lot of that comes down to, and here's the thing too, it's not just the water. Like we've had folks where they say, man, the sauna is the most stressful thing for me. And then we talk about what's going on there. And what do you know? As soon as the body starts to feel extra hot and it's like, holy moly, I need to cool down and I want to get out, the person's experiencing the vibration of anxiety. So now in that moment, we teach them how to breathe. Breathe in that moment because all you need is like 60 to 90 seconds of that breathing. And once they tap into it, now all of a sudden they're like, whoa, I'm actually okay. And they can sit there another 10 minutes. And you go, that's just emotional regulation. Compression therapy. Folks are locked into the arms and the legs. They might start to freak out. We've actually had a lot of big breakthroughs and people just sitting in a recliner chair in compression therapy because maybe they had some sort of abuse where they were trapped, and maybe the physical or emotional. And they felt that right there. So we go up to them, they're crying, we wipe their tears, we walk them through breathing exercises while they're in it. Boom. It's like the most powerful thing where they say, and then everything else for the rest of the experience is a piece of cake, because they're like, I don't know, I just healed 10 years of trauma sitting in compression for 15 minutes, all because someone held space for them and taught them how to breathe during the trauma response.
Interesting. So just so everybody, here comes Will again, this time with more clothes on. But clearly he's been in the cold water bath. So tell us a little bit about that. What's going on the ReConnect side? Yeah,
the ReConnect side. So it's a fully guided experience, but you can also do your own thing if you'd like. But most people do accept the full guidance experience. So it's compression therapy, which is going to be arms, hips, or legs. We sit you in a zero gravity chair. You kick back, weighted pillow over the eyes. It's a moment to improve your circulation, stimulate your lymphatic system, but also quiet the mind. Sit back, or even just process your thoughts, right? Mm-hmm. So not only is that going to open up the body, so we do that and then go into cold water. So we have 3 different tubs. We have a 45-degree tub and 2 33-degree tubs. Both those build their own ice. As cold as it gets.
Before it becomes literally an ice cube, right?
That's right. Yep. So it's building ice the whole time, which is really cool. And so we'll warm you up. We'll guide you through our full warm up, like I talked about, kind of the wax on, wax out. We call it the ReConnect way, all this stuff. And after that, we guide you through the water. So the water can be anywhere up to, first timers, we don't go past 6 minutes, but sometimes if you just get in for 5 seconds, that's a victory, right? There's no winning or losing. Like we say here, is that when it comes to nature, there's no competition, only cooperation.
I like that. I like that. That's good.
Thank you.
What is the benefit of sitting even for 5 minutes in 33-degree water?
The benefit list is very long, but all depends on the person, right? So it depends on whatever you have going on specifically. So say, for example, me, I got into ice baths and found them because I have a condition called EDS, and that the variation I have leaves my body really inflamed. And so my inflammation, no matter what I would do, if you took drugs, perfect diet, exercised it, nothing would get rid of the inflammation. It was just constant pain all day long. And I just learned to deal with that. And once I got into the ice bath, the second one, I realized I can get rid of this, basically, right? So I went in, and I connected my mind to every cell of my body, and I just shot electricity through it, we'll say. And I came out and I was pain-free. And so I ran tests for 2.5 years, and I realized every 14 days, all my pain comes back, no matter how perfect my diet is, no matter what it is. But I have to do one ice bath, at least 33 degrees. Like we're talking as cold as it gets. If I do the 45, it does not make the same impact for my body.
Interesting.
But yeah, I have other folks who have, like we had a couple of guys in their 60s that have really bad neuropathy, especially in their feet. And for them, it doesn't matter what tub they get in, as long as they get in it, all the pain is gone. We're talking like they come in here 2 to 3 times a week and all their neuropathy pain is completely gone.
Isn't that cool?
Yep. So it just depends on the person, right? But realistically, a lot can happen. Number one thing is inflammation gets pulled down, right? So
I could sit in there for 10 or 15 minutes and lose the 50 pounds the doc wants.
It's guaranteed, actually.
Fantastic.
I wouldn't go that far.
You may not guess, but I'm familiar with inflammation. So
yeah,
I also like beer and Mexican food. That could contribute as well.
I think that might be a factor you might want to think about. But yeah, a lot of things can happen, man. It can help with the overall function and production of your mitochondria. And they have discovered that a lot of disease is actually malfunctioning mitochondria. So you get into the ice bath, you can have those start to perform better. We're looking at hormonal balance things, but also, again, the biggest thing, man, is truthfully is the nervous system regulation. Because when your nervous system is in check, literally everything else is enhanced. When it is dysregulated, everything operates poorly. You're more at a high stress rate. You're getting sick more often. Your internal environment is literally crippling the more dysregulated you are. Getting in the cold water, and we have women too that come in here, man, they get in the 33-degree water and they run for 100 days straight. They never miss a single day. We got a guy right now, he's on day 170 something in a row.
Whoa.
And it's like, and they will tell you they are a different person from when they first started because their body is not in such pain and their mental capacity and emotional intelligence is enhanced because they're now letting themselves feel the emotion all the way through and not ignore it. Because think about this, what we talked about before. Think about the monks, right? And the things they do. They are the way they are because they let themselves feel their emotion all the way through. It's not the ignoring of emotions. It's actually the witnessing of them. Because when emotions are ignored, they become a ticking time bomb. That's when we end up doing that and we ignore our emotions. They always come back to bite us in the butt. Right. Now all of a sudden you're like, well, I'm just an angry person. I'm just anxious all the time. Wow. Like that's such a bad place to be.
Yeah, right.
But if you actually let yourself feel the anxiety, you go, whoa, I can use it to my advantage. Because the other side of that is trust. I can learn to trust something, or I can even switch it into excitement and get excited about whatever it is I'm anxious about.
Love to hear that folks are having such dramatic results, because it sounds like you and your staff are physical trainers. Maybe you've got that level of training and certification, but mainly you're just guiding people into dealing with their own crap on their own. That's fantastic.
Our mission is to guide you back to yourself, and
so that's the ReConnect
hold
part.
the mirror up. Yeah, that's all it is.
That's cool.
Yep.
That's cool. So, can you show us around the studio a little bit? It's
Sure.
As I look around, it's a little dark, but I think it'd be great just to kind of point out what we're looking at.
Yeah. So here's the stage over here. So we have the gong, sound bowls, and I got a couple of instruments here that I can show you.
Okay.
We got different drums and things like that. And so everything is kind of introduced at a certain part of every class. We always start with sound bowls, though, because sound bowls, what they are is every one of those bowls matches the frequency inside of your body at some degree. So we'll say the heart bowl. Literally, we will have people sometimes in the middle of playing that bowl specifically where people start rubbing their chest right on their heart. That tells you that the vibration of that space is out of whack.
Huh.
We've had folks who play that. I've literally watched it hundreds of times. We're playing the throat bowl, which matches the frequency of the voice, and people will start rubbing their throat. We haven't said anything about that at all. We're just playing the bowls, and people will start rubbing their throat. And you hear people go, all of a sudden, once that bowl's played. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, well, I guess because that's helping their throat heal from whatever's going on.
Yeah,
okay.
It's actually bringing awareness that there is something that needs to be corrected. Think of it like everything in our body. You've ever gotten a professional massage?
Yes.
Massage therapist will put the sheet over you, so start pressing on you, nice and easy. What she's doing is trying to get you or he at one calm vibration, so your tissues will respond to her working through them.
Gotcha.
So our body, everything is vibration, right? So think about you hear a certain song and you're like, man, this feels good. I just want to move my body. Can't control it.
Right.
Or you hear a song and you go, man, I feel like I just like this. It's because the vibration, it doesn't fit well with you, right? So a lot of times the sound bowls, people will feel like, man, there's one bowl in there I don't really like. That's probably the area that you're blocked off from.
Gotcha.
And a lot of times people will be like, I don't know what you were playing when I got this really bad headache. Like while you're playing the sound bowls, like, is that normal? And you go, yeah. That tells you that you probably got a lot on your mind and you're not letting yourself process it.
Oh, wow.
How do you know that?
Yeah.
You just told us. That's
right.
why.
Exactly. So the sound bowls, and then this gong.
Yeah, this gong.
We're gonna record the gong separately and do that on social media because it's so cool. I want to get some specific film on that. And then it looks like they're kind of these recliners, and then they're mats, and then they're
zero gravity chairs.
Zero gravity chairs.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So the differences on these guys is just preference. Whether you like to lay flat entirely, you put the pillow underneath your neck. Everyone has a blanket. You can put one underneath your knees, whatever you feel comfortable with. These chairs lay all the way flat, so it's like you're laying on a small bed if you'd like. They can also recline all the way back to just 4 inches off the ground. And the zero gravity is over there for any folks who typically just have bad backs or physically can't get down to the ground. We do have some folks who are in their 80s that will come here and they typically can't get down to the ground. It's okay.
I looked at that and I was like, man, I can't get up from that. I'm going to get down there.
I can always go around and lift you up, man. I can get you up.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we just have the variation because I know that everyone will have different preferences and sometimes it's just comfortability, and a lot of times you can show up into this space feeling so uncomfortable with a million things going on. Maybe you're grieving a loss or you're going through the most difficult hardship of your life and you're like, I want to sit in that chair in the back corner over there with a blanket over my head, but still experience the class. Then by all means, go do what you have to do.
That's cool.
That's
cool. Well, Jerame, as we wrap up our conversation and we'll get to playing some of these instruments in just a minute. The kind of the signature question of the podcast is, what does it mean to you to be a Christian capitalist? And so I'll ask you that in a little more specific way, given all of our conversation here today. Okay. As a Christian small business owner, how do you view your work as glorifying God through helping all these people? Because it's pretty clear to me that you are. I would like your thoughts on that.
This is a great question. I think it ties into my own personal story quite a bit. And for me, as I was a teenager, I pulled away from God and I felt his presence for a long time, but I never really had, my mom, we were raised in the church, incredible woman, Bible studies hosted at home, like you name it, But for me, it was like I didn't really have this understanding or a place where I felt like I could find God until I was just in my own practice. And so for me, I looked at it like for this, if I can build like a like a hidden ministry inside of here, and to where I can just pray continuously about it, and God will pull these people in to where they're now seeking and finding. To me, it's like, that's what happened for me, internally. And for me to give that to other people, like, that's where I find my purpose in all this is I just want to help bring people back to him. Right?
I love that. And that makes you every bit of pastor as somebody who's ordained in the church like me, like the guy at Impact or the staff at Impact.
Thank you.
That because that's what it's all about, right? Trying to help people reconnect with God.
Yeah.
Through your work.
Yeah. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm so glad we had a chance to visit today.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time. And we'll skip over to get some time with you playing these cool instruments that'll make for good social media posts.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you
It's
so
been a
much
real
for
pleasure. God bless you. Thank you so much for joining us today, everybody. It's been great having you with us here at the Resurrect Breathwork studio next to the ReConnect studio as well, here in Mesa, Arizona, with a location in Scottsdale. If you enjoyed our conversation, please like, tag, and share wherever you see this on social media, or follow us on podcast channels. And we'll look forward to seeing you next time on the Christian Capitalist Podcast, where the more we make, the more we give.